Now we would like to move on to session 2, Democratic Resilience Chain, defending shared values across the Indo-Pacific with Taiwan as a key partner. This session highlights how democratic societies can work together to safeguard fundamental freedoms, counter authoritarianism, and strengthen institutions across the region. Our speakers will share insights on building enduring alliances and advancing democratic resilience with Taiwan as a vital partner. Our moderator for the session is Dr. Xinhuang Michael Xiao, Chairman of TAEF. And joining us, the panelists include Mr. James K.J. Lee, Vice President of Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, Taiwan. Welcome. Ira Azhari, Chief Executive Officer of Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs, Malaysia. Mohammed Hassan Ansori, Executive Director of Habibie Center, Indonesia. Welcome. Chi Hao Yo, Co-Director of Taiwan Information Environment Research Center, Taiwan. And Kartini Sunitio Karan, Partnership Manager of Asia Center, Thailand. Welcome. And now I'd love to give the floor to the moderator, Chairman Xiao.
Welcome back. Well, at the last session, the key words are resilience and restoration. When face the crisis and threat, I think in this session, democracy also face the threat, and we need to defend it. Over the last 2 decades, we have heard time and time about the backlash, breakdown, backslides, retreat, precarity of democracies around the world. And also, we also witnessed the resistance of authoritarian, autocratic regime not to democratize, not to give in. So that kind of a sustained authoritarian rule has been in front of us. So we cannot sit around and do nothing. So therefore, in this session, we are going to invite the think tank representatives in the region and to talk about how we can defend, as the subtitle of this session 2, defending shared values across the Indo-Pacific with Taiwan as a key partners. We are fortunate living in a democracy, but we often take democracy for granted in Taiwan. But with the backdrop, against the backdrop of the world democratic retreating, we probably cannot take for granted for that. We have to come out to join force to defend the democracy. As when the democracy has become a way of life, and when democracy has become integrated into our thinking, we cannot let it down, and we should not fail democracy. So Taiwan is on the same defending side to defend, to sustain democracy. So we describe as an academic and think tank, we think that Taiwan, along with other third-wave democracies in Asia, is still consolidating, but with constant emerging threat. Especially in Taiwan, I think Taiwan is a democracy under siege. We got a lot of pressures from within, such as unregulated party politics, also the rise of a populist authoritarian leadership. And outside, without any doubt, the threat from China. And also we face day by day, on a daily basis, the disinformation and also the fake news and also the cognitive warfare every day. So therefore, we are very happy We are very fortunate to have the representative, the panelists, each represent his or her think tanks with the democracy in the name of the think tank, or with democracy in mind and in their action. So I would like, because they also, if you read their profile of the think tank, they also have some democratic alliance or cooperation across border, domestically or internationally. So I was very happy to invite them to speak out what do they think, how to defend the democracy in the country and across the border. So in that note, I would like to first invite Ambassador James Lee, and he's also now the Vice President of Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, TFD, Taiwan, and to say something about that his foundation is going to do or has trying to do. Okay, James?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman Xiao, for your kind introduction and giving me this opportunity to share my perspective on this very important topic. TAEF, since its inception, has brought together thought leaders like you, governments, and civil society to find common solutions to pressing global challenges. An idea not only formed, impact also make impacts. And the TFD, Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, is very proud to be part of your effort, and I'm humble to be able to join this dialogue. Back to your question, that I believe most people here today will agree that democracy in the Indo-Pacific is backsliding. I use your word, backsliding, and under siege. As we can see, rising digital authoritarianism, a shrinking civil society, suppression of free speech, and declining of media independence are testing the region's democratic resilience. According to the report by Freedom House and the EIU, the Economist Intelligence Units, a majority of countries in the regions are deteriorating in their democracy score. Although some countries do have show progress, improvement, but overall there is a downward trend in the past few years. To make things worse, the rising regional geopolitical tensions and the convergence of authoritarian states are aggravating this downward trend. What can we do to safeguard, to defend these values we share? I think we must begin with recognition. First and foremost, we must recognize authoritarian expansionism must be stopped. Democracy around the world must act collectively and decisively. We shall not wait until the snowball has become an avalanche. We must crush the rolling snowball. And I'm glad to see more and more countries from the United States and the EU Quad member states have disclosed their Indo-Pacific strategy with a common goal to keep the region free and open. And second, I think we also need to keep in mind that resilience is not just about surviving these pressures. It is also about renewing democratic purpose. We should work together to reinforce every link of the democratic value chain. And I assure you that the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy is ready to work closely with all partners around the world to make sure our democracy more secure and resilient. Thank you.
Okay, next. I think the TFD actually has joined many regional and international forum and alliance of democracy. Maybe later, James, you can explore, elaborate more about it. And okay, now let me invite the second speaker. You can have a man. I will not interrogate you with questions, bombard with questions, and then you can elaborate more. So let me invite the Ara Azira from Malaysia. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to TAEF for having me at this wonderful forum today. I would like to start first with maybe sharing 4 challenges that I see is facing democracies in the Indo-Pacific, but maybe a bit more specifically to Malaysia as well, and just a bit about how these challenges can be overcome. But I'm sure this will be elaborated as well throughout the panel discussion. So I would first like to talk about how America's retreat from the multilateral world order has actually impacted democracy and institutions quite seriously in Malaysia and in many neighboring countries. And Malaysia is not a recipient of USAID funding, but there are multilateral institutions that operate in Malaysia that do rely on USAID funding. So, for example, the International Federation of the Red Cross, the UNHCR, whose operations have been impacted by the closure of USAID. And Malaysia is a country that does not have legal recognition for refugees. The work and the efforts of UNHCR is very, very vital for protection of refugees in the country, especially the ones coming from Myanmar. So, and this goes beyond USAID because civil society in Malaysia that includes NGOs, activist groups, and even think tanks like Ideas rely very heavily on foreign funding. So foreign funding from America, from Europe, from Australia has played a very, very important role in keeping civil society alive in Malaysia. And America's retreat has meant that many CSOs in Malaysia does not have the resources to operate anymore. The NDI, the National Democratic Institute, and the IRI, the International Republican Institute offices in Malaysia have closed down. And I know many CSOs that rely on this funding. And civil society in Malaysia play an extremely crucial role in advancing democracy because it is within CSOs that policy research and advocacy on many important facets of democracy is being done. So freedom of expression, free speech, civil liberties, institutional reforms, all of those causes are fought for by civil society. So when those resources have dried up, there is now a big question facing CSOs in Malaysia. Where are the funds going to come from? Secondly, the rise of populism and extremism that, of course, is not unique to the Indo-Pacific or to Malaysia. But I think in Malaysia especially, there is a unique angle to it, I suppose, because the rise of Islamic parties has been quite prominent, and that's not a problem per se, but I think there is a ethno-nationalistic fervor to these parties that is a threat to the multiracial, multi-religious democracy that Malaysia wants to be. And related to this is also an erosion of trust in institutions and in the political class, which is very prominent, especially in young people. So in Malaysia, we lowered down the voting age from 21 to 18 quite recently, just before the 2022 elections. And these are a generation of young people who were born, after the year 2000, who do not really have a close attachment to the political class, who grew up on social media. So when the erosion of trust is getting worse, I think a lot of young people will probably not go out to vote. That's the analysis that we've been hearing in the next election, which will probably happen in the next 1 or 2 years. There is, of course, the concern about the role of technology in democracy and how technology distorts how people digest information, what kind of information that we are getting, and I believe this is also a universal challenge. I will just touch on 2 things for now on how these challenges might be overcome. So the restoration of trust in institutions, I think, is extremely important. And there are many ways to do this, but firstly, I think we need to work more seriously to reduce the role of money in politics and the corruption that happens within institutions. And one of the most important initiatives on this is to have stronger laws. So in Malaysia, for example, we don't have legislation on the funding of political parties. So as you can imagine, that is a big source of corruption in money politics in Malaysia. I want to highlight also the role of local philanthropy that needs to be directed towards democratic causes. So local philanthropy in Malaysia exists, but it goes more towards like educational and religious causes. It does not. We do not really have local philanthropy like how like the big foundations in North America, for example. So the efforts of civil society that stands up against authoritarianism and populism is not supported by local private sector, local philanthropists, which that problem is becoming more serious now, especially when foreign funding has been deeply affected by global affairs. So I think I will stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is a real threat that because of the U.S. retreat from the international democratic front. How the Malaysian to deal with this? You mentioned about local philanthropy. Does it work? Can you really make up these resources left behind the U.S. NED or IRI?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is still a big gap when it comes to local philanthropy. In terms of one-off donations to think tanks and civil societies, that exists. So for example, Ideas, we do a yearly fundraising dinner where we get private sector to sponsor and buy tables, but the amount is not comparable to the multi-year funding that we need to operate and to conduct our research and our advocacy. So there is still the private foundations, the private American foundations like Open Society and all of that, they are still quite active, but even they are facing threats from the Trump administration in the US because they are perceived to be pro-Democrat and all these things. So the local politics in the US definitely has a big impact on even private philanthropy in the Western world. Yeah.
Well, Taiwan Foundation for Democracy has an international resources. Maybe Taiwan can find a way to do something about it. Maybe James, you wanna?
Well, TFD is the first national level foundation for democracy in Asia. It's committed to promoting democratic values, defending human rights, and facilitating international exchanges via academia, think tanks, political parties, and parliaments. And if my memory is correct, IDEA, your institutions actually also, I think, annually applied grants from my foundation. So certainly we want to continue to do so, and we recognize your effort and make that progress. The grants we give divided into three parts. One's for political parties that has 5% threshold in our parliament. So that is nothing to do with our friends. But the second part is to our domestic civil society. That will annually we will give away about 100 cases, get the grants from my foundation. So we are very proud of a partner for our civil society that make Taiwan's democracy vibrant. And the third part is to give it away to the NGO like IDEAs and other international academia think tanks. So if you have appropriate candidates in mind and want to apply the foundation's grant, I refer you to visit our website. There's a very clear SOP how to present your application and project. Thank you.
So this is an open call, open invitation. So I think Taiwan is not rich. There's not that rich to not like the United States and to in terms of international democratic assistance. But we can certainly do in a small way. The third speaker I want to invite is Muhammad Hassan Ansoro, the Executive Director of Habibie from Indonesia. I also understand the Habibie Center has been very, very proactive in terms of domestic democratic civil society solidarity and alliance. So, Ansoro, floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Chairman Xiao, and the Executive Dr. Donolayan, and the TAF for the invitation. First of all, beforehand, there are two memories when we talk about democracy and in the moment where I am right now here in Taiwan. There are two things that it is still in mind. So I think first, 2 months ago when I had an opportunity to have face-to-face meeting with the President Lai at the President's office, and I heard a lot about his speech. But one thing that's still in mind is that there are one word that President Lai very most frequently stated during this speech. It is democracy. So wherever President Lai talk, right, everything, blah, 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 there is always connection and relevant, and then come back again to democracy. So this is a thing that I catch that indicate how Taiwan under the administration of President Lai really put and very serious on the democracy. The second one, last year, I had a very privileged opportunity to visit directly all three political parties. So in the morning, I had a meeting with the DPP. In the noon, I had a meeting with the KMT. In the afternoon, I had a meeting with the PP. So all the three leaders. But one thing that I was surprised when I had a meeting with the KMT. So I'm just outsider. I just try to learn and how, my understanding about, it's not my concern who will be who president of the Taiwan. But when I had a meeting with the KMT, and then, the leaders of the KMT opened the speech and said, we are the biggest opposition party in Taiwan. This is still in mind because this is very important for democracy. This is about check and balance. And this is a good thing for democracy in Taiwan. Why? It's impressed me because right now the situation in Indonesia, we are weakening check and balance. We have more than 15 political parties, but most of them don't want to be the opposition party. Everybody in Indonesia want to be the coalition. So we have like super big, like 90% coalition in the parliament, and totally this is good for democracy. So I think this is strong modality and good for the Taiwan to play especially a leading role in strengthening and building the same democracy in the Pacific. First, I think I agree that, and it is not too much if I say here that we are right now entering a relatively the dark episode of democracy. I think the world and the globe and the countries are getting less democratic, while some democracy they return to authoritarian, and other established, they show the signal of deteriorated democracy, quality of democracy, and this is and it is not too much because that it is a global trend, and we see also. I think the world leaders right now don't really care about democracy. They put more priority on economy in the sacrifice of democracy. So we say yes, we used to have the third wave of democracy starting from 44. So we witnessed the biggest expansion of democracy in the world until the end of the last quarter, which is, in the last quarter of 20th century, we see that democracy become the most predominant government in the world, almost 90 or 80%. But right now, we, especially in the beginning of 21st century, we're experiencing what we call the backsliding, and then we're right now reaching the peak of the, the increasing autocracy, the democracy, especially in 2020 right now. Yes, I agree. There are so many, evidence that have been shown by the index machine, like the Freedom House, the economic unit. But one thing, after 2010, we really have an experienced democracy gap, what I call. Democracy gap, what I mean is there is a gap, and it is getting huge, the gap between the countries that the democracy improve and the democracy improve and the democracy decline. So the democracy improve. This is much smaller than the country that experience democracy, damaged democracy. So this is what we call the democracy gap. A totally 45% minus, and it's really bad for our democracy right now. And it's become bad in Indonesia under the government and our MOFA. I think I don't know if we are here, about the Bali Democracy Forum. We used to have a strong Bali Democracy Forum. It is an international global space for the world leaders to talk about democracy. But within 3-4 years, it stopped. And it's postponed by the government. I don't know the reason. Probably President Prabowo, blah, 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 protest, other thing. But Habibie Center see that the situation is really crucial, not only for Indonesia, but for the region in Southeast Asia and ASEAN. So that's why last 3 years ago, we established what we call Habibie Democracy Forum. So we make this forum actually for the specific for the other people that concerned in Indonesia, government and no government, to get together and talk what should we can do for the building a resilient democracy in Indonesia and the region. And then we see Taiwan as our partner, so the strong modality, and this is why we really wish that we can work together, because there is no single nation or country or solution that we can do to building this democracy within the Indo-Pacific. Thank you. I think I stop here.
Democracy Forum. So I think it's an annual event, or is a constant, irregular, or is an annual event?
It is annual event with the. So we mostly for the opening we invite the our former president. So this year we'll be going to have in November, and our former president Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono will open. In the launching of the Habibie Democracy, we invite all the president. Actually, we invite Anwar Ibrahim, we invite Sanana Gusmao, and all the Indonesian former president. So a couple of them came, and and this is an annual event, and followed by several sessions of different issues that we talk. So we combined all the government, non-government, and even private, to talk at the future of our democracy in Indonesia and the region.
Is it domestic, national, or international in nature?
We have a national session and international session.
Or both?
Yeah, and actually we used to have very closely working with the Bali Democracy Forum, but because it's postponed, so we work alone right now.
Would you have an intention to expand it into a real international democracy forum in the region? Yeah.
Yes, this is our future goal actually. So
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. So certainly Taiwan will be happy to join it. Yeah. Okay. Now next one, I wanted to invite Mr. Yu Ji-hao, co-director of the Taiwan Information Environment Research Center. Yeah. And also this organization also take democracy very seriously by fighting against disinformation, which is a daily threat to Taiwan's democracy. It really confused the people, confused the public, and especially old people. And the other one is young people. So old and young are the victims of the disinformation. Old people like me, for example, and young people like someone outside. So you are the young people. So how are we going to do about it? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Shao. All right, this is a very big topic. I'm not sure how to approach it, but I'm going to try my best. So first, challenges, right? My colleagues, both Chairman Shao and Ambassador Li, both talked about digital authoritarianism. I think I'll go back to that. But first of all, challenges. The hybrid threats from the People's Republic of China, right? Post against my country, Taiwan, constantly. But also deficiencies and failures of our own democracies, our own democratic governance, right? And then highlighting the relationship of technology and our societies. I think those are the three main challenges we see, or at least I see, from my perspective this morning. But outside of the actual challenges, there's the perception of challenges, right? I think that is what IRG has been dealing with, the perception, the public perception of the status of our democracies, the public perception of the challenges, public perception of the risks and the threats that we're facing. I think that is what we're dealing with, and that is what our adversaries are trying to manipulate, right? It's the perception problem. This is very tricky because we are democracies. One of our most treasured values is freedom of speech, right? So although there might be one reality, there's multiple interpretations and perceptions of that reality. That is the fundamental challenge that we're dealing with. And that is also the asymmetry between us, democracies, and our adversaries, which is not democracies, because they have more ways and more power to control public perception of their own population, right? But we don't want to do that. So that is the inherent asymmetry, the challenge, the core challenge that we're facing. My colleagues here talked about the rise of digital authoritarianism. So I was thinking while listening to your remarks, perhaps we should be more serious in talking about our version of the digital governance. Maybe I can put it in two words: digital democracy, right? How do we unpack that digital democracy? I think it goes both ways, right? One way is that we bring digital technology to democratic processes. So bring the digital to democracy, but the other way also works, right? Bring democracy to the digital, right? This is where I think Taiwan's experience can be shared and be perhaps replicated in the region, because there is civil society efforts in Taiwan for the past decades or so, trying to do both, right? First of all, bring digital to democracy, right? Using digital technology, trying to collect information, trying to bring consensus to important policies and public issues, but also trying to bring democracy to the digital, right? Trying to use a community-driven way to govern new digital technologies, trying to minimize the risks and threats that new digital technologies are bringing to our society, while maintaining sort of a balanced approach, right? Not to give too much power to the government, but also not to give too much power to the tech platforms and the big companies. So maybe that is at the core of our discussion, or at least at the core of my thoughts this morning about this sort of what are the challenges facing our democracies. Finally, maybe a little bit about my organization, IORG, and what we're doing here. I think there's multiple ways to, again, there's one organization, there's multiple ways to describe what we do. But this morning, I would like to describe it as IORG is an organization that is building technologies for the defense and betterment of democracy, right? At the core, we deal with the issue of foreign information manipulation and interference, right? But how do we do that? We build technologies to detect hybrid threats from the People's Republic of China, right? Both online and offline. How do they, our adversaries, infiltrate our society using technology, using information, but also using people-to-people ties, right? Because there's certainly a rich history of that. But we don't stop at building the technology. We don't stop at detecting those threats. We go one step further. We share those information, those evidence-based information with our audiences, which is the Taiwanese public, right? And by doing that, presenting the evidence, presenting the information directly to the public, what we're doing is actually strengthening the shared reality of Taiwanese society, right? Because unless the society, in this case, the Taiwanese society, has a shared perception of the reality and the threats and the challenges, there's really little chances for us to come together and decide what we're going to do about it. So at the core of our operation, we firmly believe in the power of transparency, right? And the power of coming together, creating consensus. And then we could talk about more things like how to better our governance, how to build better partnership between civil society and government, things like that. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about this morning. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, how do you inform the public about your, did you do the fact checking every day in terms of the fake news and disinformation? How you do about it? How do you inform the public? Which channel you go through?
Right. So in terms of our work, we are a bit different from the fact checkers. The fact checkers are usually journalists, but sometimes there's community volunteers as well. They check the validity of statements, of claims. Our work is to trace where these falsehoods come from. Right? That's our work using technology. And in terms of your question, Mr. Chairman, how do we inform the public? We go about it with both online ways and offline ways. Right? Online, like everyone else, we use social media. We have our own websites, things like that. In the offline way, we host community workshops. We go to schools to do literacy training with the teachers and also with the students. Those are some of the ways how we reach the public in terms of how we do our research and trying to create a shared perception of the threats.
Have you, IORG, work with NGO of your kind cross-border in other countries?
Oh yes. So we have our main research partners are in Japan and Korea. But right now, since we're at this forum, we're actively exploring new partnerships in Southeast Asia as well.
Continue that, please. Huh?
All right, we'll do.
All right. And the last, another list, I would like to invite Ms. Karen Sunitro. And she is the partnership manager of Asia Center from Thailand. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning, well, not only good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here and to contribute to this important conversation. Talking about technology, I hope the technology work. I need to check with the team whether we, thank you so much. So on behalf of Asia Center, a civil society research institute in special consultative status with the UN ECOSOC, I would like to offer our perspective on the state of democracy in the Indo-Pacific and propose strategic responses after identifying what is the main challenges to strengthen democratic resilience across the region. Asia Center operates out of the heart of Bangkok in Thailand as a research hub. We also have a new AI hub that I will introduce, a media hub in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, close to Singapore, and a training hub in Cambodia. Let's see whether it works. Yes, thank you. We are a proud member of two regional and global coalition with active contribution across key democratic platforms. I'm very pleased and honored to be sharing the stage with our key partner from Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. We just got back from East Asia Democracy Forum, where me and my regional director attended with other key emerging leaders, supporting regional democratic initiative as well. And the second, we, part of the Korean Democracy Foundation Coalition, our regional director served as one of its global goodwill ambassador, contributing to civic engagement and democratic promotion. He just joined 2025 Seoul Symposium on International Day of Democracy a few days ago and opened the honorary office of international organization established in Seoul, inside National Museum, Korea and Democracy. I'll show some photos. Yes. And also, this is just an example why it's important to establish a mutual partnership across coalition as well as between our neighboring countries. And last but not least, we actually serve as steering group member of Global Democracy Coalition. As a matter of fact, we invited to join the Spain Open Governance Forum this week as well, organizing regional activities, including with youth, where Dr. Allen from TF joined us as a speaker at the 2025 Asia Forum held in Bangkok. We are currently in discussion of Asia Center can serve as the regional hub Global Democracy Coalition in Asia. Now I want to move on to try to present our finding, observation, and assessment because we are a regional think tank. So we found out democracy in the Indo-Pacific is definitely under strain, but not without agency. Across the region, numerous individuals, institutions, and organizations remain deeply engaged in defending and promoting democratic values. The task before us is to strategically connect and empower these actors, both within and beyond the region, to reinforce democratic norms and build resilience against rising authoritarian pressure. So we see this as an opportunity instead of difficulty. The challenge to democracy in the Indo-Pacific, like our esteemed panelists just mentioned, is there's 4 key issues actually. Some is long-standing, others newly emerging. The first is erosion of electoral integrity. Elections are increasingly, sadly, failing to reflect the true will of the people. You can see in 2 countries, one is Thailand, where Asia Center headquarters is stationed, and another one is my home nation, Indonesia. Recent development have raised concern about judicial independence and the ability of elected leaders to form and sustain government. A second is information and malinformation that's been mentioned many, many times, and also undermining public trust and making it harder to separate the fact from fiction. The third is surveillance and privacy concern. The widespread surveillance is being used to suppress and monitor civil society, and the implication actually both domestically and internationally. Fourth, the use and the harm usage of artificial intelligence Emerging technologies are amplifying these challenges, from automated disinformation campaign to facial recognition system used for social control. So these dynamics are not isolated, they are interconnected and often exploited by external authoritarian actors seeking to weaken democratic institutions across the region. And what are proposed to handle this issue? We come up with some strategic responses and recommendations. In response, a comprehensive Indo-Pacific strategy must treat democracy not as a value only, but as a security imperative. This requires investment. I think we heard that on the first panel around sharing resources as well as showing up. So electoral integrity to ensure fair and free political representation, legal and institutional reform to protect check and balance. We just heard that as well. Digital resilience to guard against misinformation and disinformation, and also protect online freedom. Okay. And also we believe that the support needs to be context-specific, as the democratic challenges in each country and sub-region may vary. It also has locally anchored through meaningful partnership. We'll touch upon that very shortly, with regional and national organizations. And also support in sustainability, meaning long-term, resisting short-term or reactive approaches. At Asia Center, we believe civil society organizations play a central role in safeguarding democracy. We are ready, and we've been doing that for years, to convene regional workshops, foster cross-understanding dialogues, and provide platform for like-minded actors to co-develop practical grounded solution. And I think now we're moving on to the implication for regional stability in what does this mean with Taiwan allies. Democratic fragility in Southeast Asia doesn't occur in vacuum. It has clear implication for regional stability and for Taiwan. Weak democracy are more vulnerable to external coercion and less capable of resisting authoritarian influence. They also reinforce the notion that democracy is not viable in Asia, undermining Taiwan's position as a thriving democracy. Taiwan, for us, is not a passive observer. It's a strategic partner for democracy building in the region. And how Taiwan can contribute, and this is our proposal. We believe Taiwan, working alongside partners like us here in the room, as well as close allies in Japan and South Korea, can take a leading role in advancing democratic resilience. We recommend establishing, three recommendations as a matter of priority: establishing and welcoming an invitation for us to set up license or honorary offices like we just successfully did with our friends in Korea, support democracy partners here. Asia Center is open to collaboration and welcome such an initiative, and will be happy to take such as an opportunity. Second, support to civil society organization through funding, capacity building, movement building, especially when traditional international aid is declining. So we're willing and we're doing to take more initiative. And third, investing in research and fellowship in collaboration with friends here in Taiwan, with a specific emphasis on democracy, human rights, and integration of AI. We also commend this organization of this inaugural summit as a very timely and strategic effort to foster collaboration among regional actors. So to conclude, a meaningful Indo-Pacific strategy must position democracy as a cornerstone of regional security, development, and diplomacy. This involves sustained investment, empowerment in civil society, support for electoral integrity and institutional reform, and protection of digital rights and civic space. Before I end this, I also would like and would love to take this opportunity for an open invitation. We have two initiatives that we're doing now at the center. I'm actually the focal point for this partnership. So the first is we just launched Asia Center AI Hub in Bangkok. I know some of you actually want to be part of it, so we're happy to further explore. This hub is actually our answer to the problem that civil society is often overlooked and left behind in the deployment and development of the use of technology, specifically AI, to bridge gap, break down silos, and foster collaboration. We're currently engaging stakeholders from across the region, including tech companies, public and private speakers and leaders on as well thinker. And last but not least, we also welcome and invite you to join us next August 2026 for the 11th edition of International Conference with the theme Representation, Restriction, and Rights on the 19th until 21. Please give us a follow, social media, because we also try to maximize our impact in multi-generational using social media platform. And we'll share more. But thank you so much again to our partners here and also for the opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, can you say a little bit more about AI Hub? How can the AI Hub, this idea can really safeguard democracy? In what way?
Thank you. It's a very interesting but also not very easy question to answer. But this is a solution that we try to come up at the center. So AI Hub is kind of like a center for development. It's an office in Bangkok. But we try to answer the challenge with three. So we are research and innovation, R&D, research development innovation. So we're doing some joint research and examine the impact of AI. Then we translate on the second is the capacity development in the form of training and opportunity to identify what will be the most reliable solution, and also movement building. And last, the most important thing is this is a space for relevant partners who want to be part of this movement. So we're not only talking, but we're actually doing the initiative together with multilateral and multi-stakeholders through this hub.
Well,
thank you.
AI is such a popular word, you know. Everyone talk about AI and AI, A, B, C, D, E. So I'm always very confused with AI. You know, one time we had a conference on AI and Taiwan studies. I say, what to do with the AI? You know, oh, AI is a tool, or AI is a material gather, the data processing. Oh, but then the end, the conference come out is on disinformation. Disinformation and also cyber threat and Taiwan. So AI becomes cyber attack, and Taiwan study become Taiwan. So that's what I want to ask, you know, because AI is such it's an umbrella word, you know, everybody talk about it. So I sometimes got lost. But anyway, speaking of slides, it actually, you talk about initiative, I think from IDEA, IORG, and Habibi Center, and also the Asia Center, all has some ideas and concrete steps to move to develop a regional coalition on how to defend and safeguard democracy. I think TAEF and the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy also has some new idea. Maybe, James, you can share with you the thought on that. You have a slide too. So prepare the slide. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. AI is very popular. Without AI, instead A, you put B there, in Taiwanese becomes BI. So it will be very sad without AI. So AI becomes BI. And I would like to take this opportunity to share with you a new initiative that Taiwan Foundation for Democracy is going to bring up in the coming years. Now we are cooking in it. If I may, someone help me to put that slide on the screens. So this initiative called Global Initiative for Local Democracy, which aims to strengthen global democratic governance through subnational cooperation. The TFD launched this initiative with the aim to connect local governments, legislatures, city network, and civic innovation groups to foster a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable community. That's the purpose. And the initiative seeks to facilitate dialogue and best practice experience sharing among participants with a focus on the AI technology application and deliberative democracy to explore how local government can use democratic innovations to improve governance, to improve democratic governance, and to strengthen societal resilience and to help accelerate collective progress toward SDG 11. Taiwan is a vital link of the global democratic value chains. Democracy is the brain name. So I think some of our colleagues mentioned that democracy center, value diplomacy has become a pillar of Taiwan's foreign policy. So democracy is like a trademark. And then another trademark for Taiwan's AI. So these initiatives want to combine AI and democracy together to bring in a new Taiwan to the world. Okay, and actually this initiative, I just come back from the United States last week. This initiative has been endorsed by the NED, National Endowment for Democracy, NDI, IRI, and several major network of local governments and legislatures. We are open to any creative idea for the initiatives, institutional design, and way of cooperation. So if you are interested in this, endorse our mission, please feel free to contact us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and welcome the partnership from different countries. But did the NED endorse it? Did NED endorse it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Was not affected by Trump?
Well, I met president of NED about 2 weeks ago, and he was very excited. Damon was very excited when he heard this initiative, and he promised to fully support of this initiative. He even wanted to join this initiative as an international advisor. And good news is the Parliament, U.S. Parliament, U.S. Capitol Hill Congress seems will grant NED fully budget support for 2026.
Good. That's good to know. So with the NEDs still alive, and then other institutions, the NDI and IRR maybe also will be alive soon. Yeah. Well, anyway, so thank you very much. We have a very fruitful discussion. Now, I think we still have a few minutes left. So I would invite audience to raise questions. And if you can, at the very end.
Good morning. I'm Professor Renato De Castro. I'm a Taiwan fellow here. I would like to address my questions to my ASEAN colleagues. If you look at the annual survey conducted by the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies, most of your countries tend to lean towards China. That's very consistent. And of course, the recent study by 2 Singaporean academics that came out in Foreign Affairs basically said, except probably in the case of my country, the Philippines, all ASEAN countries are leaning towards China. Now, my question is, how does this affect the democracies in your respective countries? The fact that your government, your society, are being strongly influenced by China, economically, diplomatically, and even culturally.
Okay. Someone? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. This is a very, very interesting question. And I think this is a survey that mostly conducted by ASEAN and I was always receive the questionnaire to fill in the survey. And I know that mostly based on the survey finding, they are leaning economically especially. And I think this is also the biggest challenge for democracy in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN. You know, first of all, one of the biggest challenges to democracy is not only the democratic institution, but it is the social, economic, and equality, prosperity, and thing. And this is very challenging because we are afraid, of course, while other democratic countries, they experience this, decreasing economy, while at the same time looking at a Chinese model, which is, also, very as economic rise of the economy and the development and the very effective and, and this is the biggest challenge because other countries will be, can looking at China as a model for them. So we know that people will say democracy is messy, democracy is ineffective. We can look at China, which is so effective, efficient, and then, and then how economy. So what happened actually in Southeast Asia right now, China become, other countries will be more or less looking at China as a model. But I think, and this is the biggest challenge also, because I think mostly country in Southeast Asia, they practice the hedging policy. So they don't really, really support either China or US, but mostly they put themselves on the blue, on the, neutral areas actually. Like Indonesia, Indonesia's probably under Prabowo have quite strong link with China. Even I think China is the first country was visited by President Prabowo once he was announced as the victor of the election, and then Japan. But Indonesia, and very strongly, still we share that we are a democratic country. We don't really see about the political system of China, but in terms only for the economic cooperation. But for other countries in the Southeast Asia, this is very challenging. So China is very assertive and aggressive, especially looking at the countries that their democracy is unstable. So like Myanmar or Cambodia, I think China will be very, aggressively coming to this kind of country. And this is also my reflection on the, Taiwan. I think Taiwan can become one of the model of how democracy and economic development, prosperity, and high technology development, they goes together very peacefully. So there is not that much in, what I mean in Asia, that the country with strong democracy, but also altogether they have strong economic development and the technology. And Taiwan can be one of the important on that kind of position. So this is the important model in order that other people not only looking at China as the model. Because this is very dangerous. Oh, see, China, with the authoritarian, with the very effective, efficient, rapid, and so, again, this is a challenge for our Southeast Asian countries. And again, with the huge technology, and we can also, and I think this is our fellow Taiwanese should be proud of that, especially based on our some of the data. I think Japan and Taiwan, I think only the countries in Asia that have full democracy status. And the rest of that, they even like partially democracy, authoritarian, or hybrid. So this is Taiwan. I think I agree that Taiwan should be there at the forefront and show themselves, because they have very strong modalities to be a model, and this is a good alternative while we are, actually worried about China and the influence of China, which is right now actually very strong and assertive in Southeast Asia. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Very, very interesting one. I know the survey that you are referring to, and firstly, I think maybe just to share that the results, whether it's pro-China or pro-America, it's actually very close. Yeah, so I think it's not like 60% or 70% is pro-China and 30 or 40 US. So it's actually very, very close. So I think this speaks to the fact that actually most people in Southeast Asia, I think, don't want to choose or to take sides in these kind of questions. Secondly, I think local context is really important. So in Malaysia, Malaysia is an interesting mix of a political system that is learning to be a multi-party democracy since 2018 when we outvoted the one-party rule for the first time since independence. So I'm actually quite optimistic for Malaysian democracy, and I do not believe that China's authoritarianism has an influence on our politics. The word communism is a lot of Malaysians are very scared of that word, and there's a lot of local context with the Chinese diaspora and a lot of complexities there. So not on politics, but Malaysia is also, Malaysia's economy is actually quite dominated by a strong state presence through large state-owned enterprises, and the government gets involved in various sectors in the economy, including property, food and beverage, and all of that. So there are sort of centrally planned elements in our economy, but I would say that in our politics and governance systems, we are very much a Westminster parliamentary democracy that is learning to become more mature and more multi-party, I guess, in our governance. So, and the third thing I wanted to add, and this is also important for us to remember, we cannot forget and cannot undermine the impact of what's happening in Gaza on the people and societies in Southeast Asia. So my take, and I think that the ICS report does touch on this, which is American foreign policy, and especially the genocide that's happening in Gaza has greatly tarnished America's reputation in Malaysia. So this cannot be denied. So in a way, it's not so surprising that the anti-American sentiment has grown over the last 2 years or so. So this is important, and I believe that in in all of the countries that were surveyed, there are specific local contexts that we should be considered. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I'll keep it short and sweet. Not really that sweet, but basically from the regional, and also we work very closely with different ASEAN member states. We're going to welcome a new ASEAN country in Timor-Leste this October. Our observation that we need a new role model, and Taiwan could fill the gap because China also trying to play bigger role in international development gap, and most of the tendency because of the economic necessity. So I think when the ASEAN member of state getting much more stronger, and we need a role model that will balance that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Satu?
Sorry, my name is Satu Lemay. I'm from the East-West Center in Washington. I really appreciated the panel. Thank you so much. It was terrific. I have sort of a baseline question for anyone on the panel who'd like to take it. And in asking it, I realized in formulating the question that it's dangerous even to ask it this way. I'm not questioning the value of democracy. Let's not discuss the value or the importance of democracy as a value for human beings, for societies, et cetera. I don't want to get into that. But since this is about prospects for a resilient Indo-Pacific policy and the issue of Taiwan developing an Indo-Pacific policy, and lots of references to the current US thinking about these issues, my question is, how important of all the 4 or 5 topics we have for our seminar, for our conference, is democracy for a resilient Indo-Pacific policy? Is it more important than economic resiliency, fighting back security threats from Russia and China, in my view? this doesn't seem to be a driver of the national strategies in the region. Am I wrong? Please help me understand where this fits. I understand the trade picture and the commercial picture and the economic security picture. I certainly understand the security and defense posture picture. But I'm a little unclear about how some of your countries would view democracy as an element for keeping a resilient Indo-Pacific strategy and for protecting yourself against threats from China.
Why democracy matter? Why does democracy matter to
Thank you, Dr. Sato. That's my fellow at the East West Center. Yes, I think, it is important because without the democracy, and especially how the democratic values especially should be implemented within the Indo-Pacific. So it is important especially for us to have a united front, especially to maintain a free, open, and also rule-based Indo-Pacific policy. And this is all the values of democracy. So mostly the weakened democracy within countries, they are very, very sustainable to the, to the instability. So it is very cyclical. So instability create the undemocracy, but weakening democracy also create the instability. So both of them, sustainability, peace, and democracy should be one. And this, I think, I stop here. Thank you.
Okay, great question. Just a short response. I guess I don't see, I actually do not think that upholding democracy and democratic values is something that the Malaysian government sees as central to its security, to be honest. And many reasons for this, but I'll just touch on one, which I think has a lot to do with domestic politics. I think domestically, Malaysia is still struggling and trying to understand what it means to be a proper democracy, check and balances, strong institutions, giving room to the opposition. So I think that naturally then just translates into sort of a very neutral or, we don't really have an opinion on how important democracy is in security and in foreign policy. So I would say it's not a priority. Yeah.
So I'll try my best. I think from the regional point of view, we see the necessity, but I also observe now with all the Gen Z movement, there's a losing faith on democracy itself and how we try to put together an effort is not only unique to a country A, B, and C. It's a joint effort. I think that's why we want to play a role with Taiwan as a role model, because we need a role model in the region. So
Well, democracy matters. People in Taiwan know well the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and they are committed to safeguarding their democratic way of life. That's the point why we upheld these values. And it's not a secret that China intimidated Taiwan militarily, suffocated Taiwan internationally, and it also used economic leverage to coerce us. But I think despite of these challenges, Taiwan proved the world that democracy can flourish in Asia and in Chinese society. And Taiwan's success proved that democracy can endure and thrive under pressure, which offer a valuable lesson to the other countries in the region and the world. Thank you.
I think there needs to be concrete examples of democratic successes, and also there needs to be a strong narrative of the things that my colleagues just said, that democracy links with economic prosperity and all that other important aspects of our society. To have that almost like a moral high ground in our narratives is of the utmost importance from my perspective as a researcher of the information environment. Thank you.
Well, I think it's very important. I think what Taiwan the democracy matter is because with democracy, decision making in terms of external foreign policy can be more rational, and to make correct and rational, sustained policy making. I think that is probably because democracy can eliminate irregularities by personal dictatorship, and so on and so forth. I think decision-making process can be assured with democracy. Okay, so I think so now we are really pleased to have a distinguished panelists to talk about their perspective about democracy in crisis and how to restore it, how to fix it. I think it's very important we have to work together to fix this shortcoming of democracy. And so TAEF will be happy to work along our partnership with us in the region and across the region, and to make sure democracy will live happily and forever. Thank you very much. Thank you.